Welcome to another Planet Zoo video. We're here in Highland Zoo, and I welcome you back to part 2 of Let's Build a Zoo. I'd like to first start out and say thank you for your support on the first video as we took a look at this brand new zoo and kind of took a look at what we were doing here. We're back looking at part 2. I want to apologize first off of how long it's taken me to get this second video out. There's a couple reasons for it, so we might as well dive into it. Again, welcome! So, yeah, this week has been a little crazy. First off, one of the main reasons I didn't get a video out on Mondays because I was actually in Disneyland. It's our family tradition to go down to Disneyland. And start the holidays off with a trip down there. So we went down there and was down there for 3 days, and then we had to hurry home for a family emergency, and that just kind of took up the rest of the week. But we're back on track here. The second reason I have jumped into this game, I haven't had a lot of time to play around in Planet Zoo. And you'll see some of the evidence of that. One thing that I do want to mention as we look here at our front entrance here, this might be getting changed. One of my favorite Planet Zoo series, I mean there's a ton of them out there, and you guys are probably very familiar with most of them, but my favorite one is probably Ruble Trillions. I'm I don't know. I'm not even going to try to say it again. But he's basically trying to recreate the Denver City Zoo master plan. So what it's going to be eventually. And one of the things that I really like in that zoo that I don't think I capture here, and I get that every zoo is different, but I'm going to try to implement this, and so maybe some suggestions, is I don't like this entrance. I like this building. I think the building is very unique. And maybe, I don't know, I'll have to examine it a little bit more, but I don't like this, so I might add, instead of having glass here, I might add a path in here, and maybe, like have one exit, but I don't like how these are kind of the one and the same, and I might do something a little bit out here in this plaza that would work. I'll have to work at it, but I didn't do anything with it here, so that's kind of where it stayed. So the first thing that I was able to do after the last video, I jumped in and I told you over here was going to be like this kind of conservatory, quarantine. Maybe this is where the animals come to once they arrive at this zoo. They would come here and get acquainted, so the keepers can kind of learn. And I don't know how much of this is real. I'm kind of just rolling with it, but my thought is the animals would be brought in here. So right here you have 2 vet clinics right here for the animals. You have a maintenance shop that needs a wall, and then you have staff in here and quarantine. But these buildings, let me zoom out here. So they are 2 individual things. Exhibits, not exhibits, they are 2 places that the staff are only allowed to get to. And my thought is that they could come in here, and like I said, they could be brought here and have an area inside that the staff and the vets and the keepers could get used to the animal before actually putting them in their exhibits. Again, don't know how true it is. But I wanted a building like this, and so that's kind of where it came from. Now, you'll see on the right hand side kind of the big thing that took over my week. But before I get there, I would like to zoom out. And I want to say my first. So one of the things I really like about Ruble's videos is how elevation is a very big thing in zoos, and I never really thought about it until he mentioned it in his, and then I started thinking about my local zoo, the Holgel Zoo, and the Smithsonian Zoo in Washington D.C. Both of those zoos, I know I'm very tired at the end of the day for how much of a hill both of those zoos are made on. Um, I know my North American area down here is got a lot of terrain shift. Like, very clearly, the peeps have to go down into Bear Down, and there's very rugged terrain for this little exhibit. These three exhibit or four exhibits here. Um, but I needed to do a little bit more. So if you remember last video, right before I recorded, I put this mountain in, and then there was a mountain right here. My original thought for this was to have a bison and antelope, or the what is it? They go really well with the American bison. Pronghorn, that's what it is. Pronghorn antelope. They go really well together, so I was thinking about having a little exhibit in this little cove, and that would wrap up the North American. Call it good, bang, ding, done. In the Bear Down. I didn't really like that. So I told you last video, in this area, I've got to sneeze. Hold on one second. Excuse me. In the last video, I told you Asia is going to go right here. That's going to change a little bit. As you can see now, there's a giant mountain in the way. So one of the renditions that I worked on throughout the week was actually putting in a lot of mountains. So I knew one of the key features of this zoo was to have a lake, and a lot of the animals would be based around this lake. So what we're going to do here is this is going to be North American, my North American area, and the bison and the pronghorn are going to go over here with a pretty big open plaza right here, I think is what I'm going to do, with a lot of shops, a restaurant, because the only restaurants I have right now is this building, which will be taken out. And then this will have like a lodge right here, with my Asia now going right here, and with the train going behind it. I'm not sure what I want to put on this peninsula. I want to know this path, again, I think I mentioned this in the last video, is to keep my park on sort of a 90-degree, like it keeps it symmetrical here. So even though these paths are very curvy, I have this kind of straight path to keep everything lined up, which I'll mention the path work in a minute. So very going back into this, don't know what I'll have. I'll have an animal here on this island peninsula thing, and then the savannah is going to go right here with the train wrapping around it to come back over here. So the savannah will be right here, and the train barn will be right here, and then the wetlands I think are going to go down in here. So let's dive down in here. I don't want to spend too much time focusing on it because I don't have a lot done. So this is going to get reworked. Obviously the train tracks go through the middle of my staff buildings right now, and my power. I will say I do hope power and water facilities get reworked. I want them. Comparative to most YouTube creators and most sandbox players, I do want them, but I want their radiuses to be much bigger. I feel like there's one inside this little compartment that should power all of these buildings. Um, I have one here that should power this entire exhibit with all of the water. This guy should just power Asia. Anyway, so right here is going to be a pretty large lodge building. Within the bottom of it is going to be some more staff buildings, but it will just kind of come and be in the background here with the exit for the train coming through it also. And I believe the train, excuse me, is going to hook into this path. So I don't have anything finalized at all, but it will have a nice little bridge here, and then I'm pretty sure this right here might turn into a little exhibit. I don't know what I want to put there yet. Let's just roll through this the pedia here really fast. Like I'm thinking maybe like warthogs. I'm just rolling through here really fast. I didn't really plan on looking at animals a whole lot. Yeah, maybe. Or like a cheetah exhibit, maybe. And then their building could be back here underneath the train track. That would be kind of cool. But there would be something right here, an exhibit, and this building will be moved and destroyed to make way for the exhibit. This train will continue down here, and like I said, it will come in here, and this will be kind of more of a backstage area. So I plan on doing a little bit more warehouses, some stuff back here. This right here is going to be backstage. It is part of this quarantine building. I need to do a little bit more research. One of the people I'm watching is Geekism, and I'm really liking his Canadian, North American inspired park for the conservation, and I'm kind of learning a lot about conservation and how animals are cared for in that park, and maybe something conservation effort could be right here. Don't know yet. But the train, like I said, will wrap around the savannah right back here with lions, elephants, giraffes, zebras, all of the African, and it will have an African village in the middle. And then the train will wrap back around and come back over here, and then wrap up and over Asia, which will be right here. So, plans for the next episode. I got to detail this mountain, so I'm going to put this mountain in. I'm going to come and put a mountain in right here, and another one right here. I like how small this zoo is, comparative to like maybe a theme park I've built in the past. I like that fact of it. And I like how these mountains kind of dictate those borders too. I was thinking about having an area back here, but I'm not sure what I want to do yet. Yeah, so plans. Or let's finish up talking about these paths. So the other thing I really like about Rubel's videos is these paths. So as you're walking along here, you can see there's some elevation change. I really like that elevation change. One, I think it makes a very good segue in for the train, which will have this bridge will look very much like this bridge when it's done, and it will come over here to another like rock with, I don't know exactly what will go right there, but it will look very similar to that. But this kind of inner like a main path that goes down, and you can kind of see the main path there. but these kind of individual paths to create this kind of, I forget what like a DNA, I don't remember, helix kind of path, where the path kind of crosses over each other. You will see this a lot more in my park. I really like how Rubel has introduced it into his, and I plan on having that a little bit more. So right here it makes it very hard to do just because it has to go down to a single path to go over the bridge. But going into Africa it will extend and have another path over there, and then it will have that kind of helix over here too. But I thought that was a very good use of that space. But yes, episode 3. So I plan on putting the mountains in, finishing up the train. I plan on beginning work on this building right here, this lodge, and then maybe getting an exhibit in here, or at least beginning the exhibit. I know that's ambitious, but that's where I plan to go. Let's go back to where we began over here. Again, I'm not a very big, I don't know a lot about zoos. I don't even know if this is something that exists. These like 3 quarantine pins or pens with this like big quarantine building or like rehabilitation building. I don't know if that's something that really exists. If you do know anything about this kind of stuff, please let me know in the comments. I would be more than happy to take your advice and kind of run with it. Or if you see a different YouTuber, please direct me. I will more than happy to watch their series and kind of figure out what they have done that I could maybe implement. Anyway, back over here to the main. This might be worked on, small little changes here with some like tickets here. Anyway, I hope you guys are having fun. Thank you for your patience with episode 2. I do plan on getting it out on, it might come out on Saturday. It will come out sometime in between Saturday and Monday. So thank you again for your patience, and then we'll have definitely another one midweek next week, and then another one beginning on our normally scheduled time, which would be Monday after Thanksgiving. Anyway, until next time, have a great day. Continue enjoying Planet Zoo as much as I am, and thank you for joining me.